Hello, welcome to Scrap Time episode 671. My name is Christine and on today's episode I'm showing you some new templates from the Crafters Workshop. Today I'm showing you some of the new templates from the Crafters Workshop. I've shown these many times before and they're always coming out with some great designs. So here are some of the new ones. This first one is called Swiss Dot. It gives you a nice little circle all in rows. This one is called Spirographica. Gives you a really neat design, sort of like your spirograph. Here we have splats. Looks like big paint splats and that. Sort of fun. This one is called Screen. I think Screen. Yes, just Screen. Sort of gives you the look of a screen. Here we have Love Beads. This is Trees Reversed. The last time they did a tree and it was around the tree that you'd be spraying. Now here your inks or sprays would actually form the trees. This one is called Attitude. The whole outline shadow of a woman is becoming popular. So these are really neat. You could like outline it and then write journaling through here or spray her and paint her. Do so many different things. This one is called Rustic Paint. So it sort of looks like your paint is breaking away. This is Cubist. It's really neat how it goes from like your really small and then into some larger rectangles and squares. And then we have wood grain. So wood grain is really popular right now. So as I said, these were the 12 by 12 ones. Now all of those designs plus more also come in the 6 by 6 shapes. So these are great for doing smaller projects such as cards. Here we have the splats in the 6 by 6. Here is a chicken wire. This also comes in the 12 by 12. I love that this one. We have the Love Beads. This one is called Mini Squircle, something like that. It's squares and a circle, hence Squircle. And again, this comes in the 12 by 12 as well. Here we have the Attitude in the 6 by 6 and the Cubist in the 6 by 6. I'm going to show you, I was playing around a little and this time I used gesso with the templates. So this is the rustic paint. I did it with gesso and then I sprayed my glimmer mist over it. And I let it sit on so the glimmer mist still sat on that. If you were to spray glimmer mist and then get a paper towel, it would wipe right off the gesso. But if you let it sit and dry, then it will cover the gesso areas. Here I did the wood grain, this time using acrylic paint, and I'm going to show you in a moment how I got this look. I was really happy with how that turned out. And this is the Cubist one, and this time I used the Faber-Castell gelatos over it, and I just put different colors randomly and then with some water. And you can see how with the gesso, it covers the gesso, and then where the gesso was, you would get some of the darker areas of the gelato sort of staying there, which gives it a neat look. So you can use any mediums over your gesso. But I'm going to show you how to do that wood grain one. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to get my template. I am using Claudine Helmuth Studio Gesso that's put out by Ranger. But of course, whatever gesso you happen to have on hand would do the job. And you just decide, do you want like the large knot, a little knot, which part of the template you want to use. And you put it on. I use Claudine Helmuth's Helmuth brushes as well. They're really affordable. You get a pack for, I think, like 6 brushes for $7 or something. I'm not exactly sure, but they're really affordable. So you don't mind putting them through the tests of different things for that price. So when you're putting your gesso on, I just hold my template, and you just want to make sure you're getting it in the different ridges. Now the difference between gesso and, say, a regular acrylic paint is that gesso holds, it doesn't self-level or that. However you put it on, it stays that way. So it's going to give you those ridges. So if I was to put a big blob of gesso on, eventually it'll dry in that big blob. It might just take a while though. The thicker you put it on, like any medium, the longer it will take to dry. So once you start applying the gesso, I find that the template doesn't really move. The paint is sort of gluing it down for the moment, holding it in place. Almost done here. Okay, and so once I go over it, I just will get some more and go over it again. It will just give it a bit more dimension to it. Okay. So now I'm going to lift it off, and you should be able to see the dimension I have on there and the print that is on the book, even though it is a white on white. At this point, I like to clean off my template, so I'm going to take this to my sink to clean off all the excess gesso on there. If you were more particular, you could try just to get into the holes, but I just put it right over. So I have to go clean off my template. You can let it dry if you wanted to. I just prefer to clean it. And at the same time, this will dry a bit before we put on our next layer. So I finished drying the gesso with my heat gun. So it's nice and dry. I can now put on my next layer. And I am using Sable Brown, again by Claudine, part of her studio paint line. And what I'm going to do is find myself a little stick, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the brown on my craft table, on my craft mat. I have my new craft mat on my table here. This one is from Ranger. And take a little bit off that. Then what I'm going to do is spray water on my mat and bring some of my paint into the water, because I don't want it to be full of paint, because as you're going to see, I'm going to wash it over top of this. So you can see as I go. Now here, where it's a little thicker, I can just put some water on my brush and brush it through. So wherever the gesso was, the brown shows up a lot lighter than on the actual paper. The paper in this book is like a watercolor paper. It's thicker and absorbent. Now I'm doing it in brown because, you know, typically brown, that's the color of wood. But I think this technique would be really neat even if in a pink or a blue or, you know, a regular color that wood normally isn't. I think it would be a really fun look as well. So I'm just brushing it on, and you get a really cool look. And it's really simple to do using the Crafter's Workshop wood grain template. And as you can do this, you know, it doesn't have to be wood. You can do the gesso with any of the designs. I just thought the wood one was a neat one to show you. And you can just let it dry naturally, or you can spray it with your heat gun. But there you have a way to make a faux wood finish for a project. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to check out my website at www.scraptime.ca. And on our next episode, I'm showing you some new products from Love My Tapes. So please join us. Thanks for watching Scrap Time.